Thousands of marijuana-related convictions are now in question after the state reveals its chemists were never certified to test drugs.
Jeff Abel is live tonight with the latest turn of events in this story. Jeff?
Well, you know, defense attorneys put many state agencies on alert today that they plan to sue. Too many people in this state, they say, have paid too heavy of a price for drug tests, which are now in question. For years, thousands of Marylanders have paid the price for marijuana-related convictions, supported by the findings of a chemist who tested the drugs and testified in court. But only now is the state revealing that none of its chemists were ever certified to determine whether marijuana is really marijuana.
As of 2019, the state of Maryland did not have the ability to determine whether hemp is in fact marijuana. Yet people sustained convictions. People were still charged.
The Pennsylvania lab, which Maryland uses to test its illegal drugs, vowed 2 years ago that its chemists would be certified. But in a statement, state police admitted last month that uncertified chemists had examined some 4,400 cases. But the process of certification was taking longer than anticipated, as it was the first private lab to seek this certification in Maryland.
That's not realistic. Absolutely not.
Today, a group of defense attorneys put state agencies on notice. They plan to sue. The toll these uncertified findings have taken, they say, is far too deep to ignore.
And so the harm to families, to communities that have lost the benefit of loved ones, the destabilization with children in the home, all of that is a residual harm for which we cannot let oops be the excuse and the justification.
Since the findings were revealed last month, attorneys have identified hundreds of cases which they believe should be dismissed.
If you knew back then that you did not have chemists that were certified, then you should have known back then that you didn't have anyone to testify in court. Instead, what we've gotten as the defense bar and as civil rights attorneys was a facade.
Well, the state tells us tonight that 31 of its chemists are now Maryland certified. That comes 2 years after the state signed the lab with that Pennsylvania lab. We're live today. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Another ATM smash and grab this morning in Baltimore City, this time happening in Fells Point. Fox 45 News' Mackenzie Frost has a look at the suspects and outrage from business owners.
That glass, man. Oh, I will, baby.
Thames Street this morning, more than just cobblestone. Bricks strewn along the sidewalk, pieces of the 7-Eleven convenience store, and evidence of another brazen crime in Baltimore.
They were pretty well organized.
The photos of the 4 unidentified suspects from police matching how Justin Etham, property manager of the building, describes the surveillance video.
They took a pass at the building about an hour before the crime. Then they showed up with a van, a driver, and then they had a group of 3 on foot with, fully blacked out clothes, black shirt, black shoes, black pants.
Etham says the suspects rammed their van into the historic brick building about 7 times before grabbing the ATM and taking off.
They watched the police activity and our officers, and they swooped in as soon as the opening was there.
People in Fells stopping by Tuesday morning to take photos while glass and metal framing is taken out.
It just perpetuates a perception of unsafeness.
Claudia Tolles, owner of Amuse Toys, just a few doors down from the 7-Eleven, says the latest incident in Fells Point is just another example of the rise in crime in the city.
It's brazen. We're on Thames Street in a very trafficked area, and this happened at 4 a.m. It's honestly very saddening to see.
Meanwhile, the cleanup continues along Thames Street, and no arrests have been made. Just the police asking the public for help in identifying these suspects. Baltimore police tell me from June 1st to today, 11 ATM thefts have been reported across the city.
The demand for vaccine cards is causing some people to do things illegally. Jeff Abel has a warning about vaccine cards that are turning up on the black market.
Well, on the streets, these vaccination cards are becoming as good as gold. But the market these days is also flooded with fakes. The pressure to produce a legitimate vaccination card is intensifying. At last night's Ravens game in Las Vegas, no one was allowed inside without first providing proof of vaccination. And it's not the only place. Many colleges, universities, many restaurants, they're now only providing services to those who are vaccinated. And now the demand for a vaccination card is taking an illegal turn. Online, you can find any number of scammers selling vaccination cards, some for as much as $200 a piece. A New Jersey woman who called herself Anti-Vax Mama online was indicted for selling as many as 250 fake vaccine cards. She's now been kicked off Facebook and faces federal prison time if convicted. In Baltimore today, news of the frauds had vaccination proponents shaking their heads.
You know that if you ain't went and got that shot and you don't got the right, the right credentials that's going to validate that you have been vaccinated, then you know you opening up a can of worms. I don't got $14,000 to pay nobody because they locking me up. That's my bail. You know what I'm saying? So it's a choice. It comes down to wisdom, making the right decision. You know what's right and you know what's wrong.
There are now online programs to save and verify your card to ensure there are no problems down the road. Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.